Oh my goodness. It has been 6 weeks since I have done my written budget. So now what? What should I focus on? What should I maybe not worry about quite as much and just move on from? How do I reset after that long? Can I reset after that long? Let's find out together. Okay, yes, I tell you guys all the time, life will happen and your budget will take hits. Don't get upset, just do your best and keep going. So today I'm going to show you how I've decided to get myself through in that exact situation. And what I end up doing to get myself back to what I consider back on track might surprise you. Okay, so you might be asking, how did this even happen? What in the heck were you even doing, girl? Well, first of all, I was trying to figure out how to present that budgeting series here on the channel for you guys. I was making worksheets, filming, editing, scripting. I threw a couple lives into the mix. That was definitely more than my usual workload. And in the middle of trying to show you guys how to do your budget, I neglected my own budget. How ironic is that? And I'm not sure why, but I decided to start that project right at the time when we were getting ready for our son to come home for his wedding. So, yeah, life, work, family, typical stuff. Nothing extraordinary, right? But a lot of times, this can be a make or break moment. Going 6 weeks is a long time when we were talking about our paychecks and our spending. A lot of stuff goes on each day, and after a while, it can start to feel like, oh, this is just way too far gone. So I wanted you to see that when this happens, because it will go too far, and you will try to convince yourself, just forget it. I suck at this budgeting thing anyway. You might even be in this situation now, actually. That initial momentum from the No Buy 2025 and us telling ourselves how we're going to be so different this year. Well, now we're halfway in, and some of that energy may be depleted already. I think it did for me too, so I totally get it. But like I said, what happened was just totally typical stuff, not a big deal, right? I was feeling a bit overworked, family came into town, so what? We all have those moments in our lives. Why should it derail everything, all of the work that we've done up until this point? We aren't doing that. We are just going to pick up where we left off and we are going to keep going. And I know that is easier said than done. So you're about to see where there are multiple places where we definitely went way over our normal budget. And I'm not going to lie or try to make it seem easy here. The thought of going into my office to pick up my cash binders and my budgeting book was a little bit deflating. I thought to myself, oh man, Jen, you did this to yourself, sis. And I really wasn't exactly sure where to begin, to be honest. So when I feel that way, like everything is just a total mess, there's no way to clean this up feeling going on, that's when I remind myself, hey, Jen, you know how to clean, go get the broom. And what I mean by that is when my house is an absolute mess, I literally will say to myself, where will you make the biggest impact? What will make you feel like you are really starting to clean up the house? Sweeping the floor, and I go get the broom. So I applied that here and I asked myself, what would make the biggest impact here? What would make me feel like I'm getting somewhere fast so that I wouldn't just quit right in the middle of it? And that was to write down all of my spending. And again, not how I planned to dig myself out of this 6 week hole. I actually originally thought to myself, I am not going to sit here and go through 6 weeks of transactions. I do not have time for that. But once I started, I actually ended up realizing that that was exactly what I needed to do, or I wasn't going to feel like I was doing it right. So I sucked it up and I just began. And I went straight to my spending tracker and looked to see my last spend that I logged in, and that was on April 16th. So then I scrolled way, way down on my Wells Fargo checking account transactions to April 16th and just grabbed a blank piece of paper and I started. And here it is. I wrote the first one here at the top, which was Amazon, and I just kept going. Now, keep in mind, I did not write my bills down. I don't track my bills. They are accounted for always. That part of my budget is not something I would ever fall behind on. All of my bills, except my mortgage, are auto paid. What I am budgeting closely and will always be is everything else. And I've always said here on the channel, because that is the part that gets us all into trouble. We can pay our bills. This is what we need to be focused on so that we can continue to pay our bills. These are the things that we can control: the groceries, Amazon, takeout, other shopping. And that's what all of this is. Yes, it's a lot, and it's way more than I'm used to seeing. I did feel a little looking at this, but at the same time, I am so glad that I took the time to write all of this down. I tried to keep these in categories as best as I could. And once I wrote down these amounts, I did want to see what all of this Amazon stuff was. This actually seemed like a lot for me in a 6-week period. So the next thing I did was I went through my Amazon purchases and I wrote down the actual items that I purchased. Because if it's for anything business related, that will make me feel a lot better. And at this point, I could use a little mental boost. So let's see what I bought. So these were the items that were business related. I've got them listed here. Then I had some household items, not too bad. And then over here was personal items. Again, not bad at all. And again, doing the extra work and going ahead and writing down every single Amazon purchase that I made, it actually took away what I would consider kind of that guilt feeling that I had going on for not tracking my spending for 6 weeks. And I ended up being okay with every single purchase that was on here. And that was a really good feeling. So if you fall behind too, don't just assume that it's all going to be bad. You might end up being very surprised at yourself. Okay, so yeah, Amazon, I was okay with myself, but one area where I was not is here. And this is the takeout section. Let's take a closer look at this together. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is go ahead and cross off this one, this one, this one, and this one. Those were the only ones that should be on here. The rest of these, you guys, honestly, are me and Jason just justifying. Oh, we're tired. We had a busy day. We already cooked breakfast and lunch. Let's just order dinner. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how much I shouldn't have spent so I can be mad at myself even more. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But really, this will be my motivation for making sure I do not order any more takeout for a while. I already know that this total is going to stick with me, and I'll remember it next time. I want to take the easy way out and order some food. Okay, so let's see. $380.61. Yikes. Okay, let me write that up here. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be forgetting that total for a while. All right, let's go over here and add up the groceries. That is this section here. Wow, another big total, $1,633.71. Now, we typically do a $150 a week, and this has been 6 weeks. So that would be 900. So we actually went over by $733. So yeah, obviously that is way over our $600 a month budget, but there is no regret here at all. We were lucky enough to have our kids here in Florida with us for about a week before the wedding, and they are actually still here, and we've been eating dinner almost every night together. Jason is very happy to cook for them, and we love having them. So this is money very well spent. So next, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what these other things are. So we went through the Amazon, which was here, and we went through the groceries here, and this was takeout. So up here, we had a little bit of money spent on the pool. We had to get one of those baskets that catches all of the debris. Ours was cracked. We got a new one of those and a new thermometer. And then here we've got Home Depot and Home Goods, and those are some items that we bought before everyone came. We had to get some mulch for the yard, and I bought a few little things around the house. This is Buckle, Dillard's, Zoomies, and Target. Now these are items like clothes for the wedding and clothes for going out to eat and different things. So that's what all of that is. Here is Mother's Day flowers that I sent to my mom, dry cleaner. We had our son's pants and shirt dry cleaned for him for the day of the wedding. And I had my hair extensions put back in for $180. So this is it, you guys. This is my 6 weeks of spending. And after doing this, I showed Jason and I actually told him, wow, this is really good for 6 weeks of spending. I mean, we had a wedding and family visiting. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of us, like I said, except for that takeout food. Okay, so tracking our spending is done and all accounted for. I'm just going to date it up here at the top. We'll say 4/17 until today. Day of filming is 5:30. I'm going to hole punch this later, and I'm just going to put it right here on top as one of my spending trackers. So the next thing that I want to do is look at my no spend, no buy calendar. Now, would I like to go through and check each day to keep this consistent? Yes, my OCD brain would love nothing more, but I do value my time a little bit more than that. So what I've decided to do is mark these days off with a different color marker so I remember that I did this, and I'm just going to give $1 a day to the envelope. So let's mark these off. Okay, so we've got 42 days. So I'm going to add $42 to my no spend envelope. Okay, so now it is time for my binder categories. And my first thoughts here were, where do I begin? What do I need to catch up on? And what do I want to add to right now starting this week? Because as we just saw, I spent a lot more than normal. So a lot of these categories are going to have to wait for another paycheck. So let's look through my binders, and we will be adding to some of these categories to get the most important ones caught back up to where they should be. And also, for real, you guys, to get that momentum back. And we are going to start with the high priority. And remember, these amounts are exactly where I left them on my last filmed video with you guys. Every purchase these past weeks was on our debit cards. And I feel like I need to say here that none of this was planned and none of this was even a discussion between Jason and myself. I'm not going to sit here and act like I had some master plan 6 weeks ago. All of this was literally just my life happening. And now that the dust has settled, I am just coming back in to see where I'm at. And I wanted to show you guys that maybe even someone who seems like to you has everything all figured out, she's so organized and her budget is perfect, does not. No one does. The truth is, your girl was tired. I really just needed a break from making videos and just being so on top of everything. I had a little personal checkout. And this was a little bit of a lesson for me that I really need to learn to take better care of my mental health. I was feeling very overwhelmed, and I feel like the timing of the kids' wedding and family coming, it ended up being perfect because I don't think that I would have given myself any time to take off. In fact, maybe a couple days here and there, but probably not even that if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, I think that we all know that social media and edited videos can just make everything seem so perfect, but it's not. I'm just a regular person just like you. Okay, so where were we? My goodness, yeah. Okay, first binder, that's right. We're gonna get all of these categories right. And as I said, nothing has been touched in these since I filmed last. I did go through and count the money, and then I got my cash planning sheet and I wrote down what I needed to get them all where they should be. I'm ready to start off the month back on track. And let's start with, I'm going to put this to the side. Groceries. And what I have in here is 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 150, 170, 190, 210, 215, 220, 225. Now, I actually do not remember being so under budget on groceries and having all of this extra, but I'm just going to do what I would normally do, which is 150. So I'm going to take back the 75 that I'm over, and we're going to put the 150 back in the grocery envelope. And next up is Uhtred. Let's see how much he has. 50, 70, 90, 95, 96, 97. And I'm actually going to let you guys see this. Uhtred, I have okay for now with a little check mark. So he's okay with what he's got. And next up, household, I also have a check mark because this has 50. And as we saw, I'm pretty good here on the household items. I don't think I'm going to need to add too much more to that. So next up is stationery. And this is actually things that I have been making for the kids' wedding. I did some cute things for them, and it all kind of has a stationery related vibe, which is why I'm using this particular tracker from the wedding set. And it currently has $160 in here, and I'm going to just leave this because our oldest daughter is getting married next year. So I'm just going to keep that going for her. And as soon as I complete each tracker, I'm going to place the money into my high yield savings account until I actually need it for something for the wedding. If you want to check out my recommendation for a high yield checking and savings account, I'm going to have it in the pinned comment for you guys. Definitely check that out. If you've got cash built up like this for any sinking fund that you're not going to be using right away, get some free interest out of that. And I've got well over a year to keep building on this. So the next one is Two Sister Bees. And let's see, it has a whopping $5 in there. So as you can see here, I have that I want to add 50. So now I have 55 in my Two Sister Bees envelope. Next is health, and this one has 100. And I've got that I want to add 40 today to this envelope because I know that we just opened our last tub of greens and we're going to need to order some more of that very soon. So moving on to toiletries, I have a check mark. It has plenty in there with $135. And oh my goodness, you guys, my May tracker, I didn't even get a chance to start it. So it totals $140. And what I want to do is still stay on track with this. I'm going to take $140. I'm going to add it to my mortgage payment because that's where these trackers are going. Extra principal payments on my mortgage. And we're going to go ahead and get our June tracker ready for next week. I'm just going to put this in here and you'll see me start that on the next video. And the last one, you guys, the takeout. This is definitely on pause. There's $45 in here. I'm going to take this back and we're going to add it to the pot. Okay, so let's move on to my sinking funds, and in here I have my car insurance, and nope, I have not stuffed this for 6 weeks. What I usually do is 25 a week times 6, that will be $150. So I've got that here. We're going to add that to the envelope, and we're going to mark off 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 110, 120, 130, 140, 45, and 50. And again, when this tracker is done, as you can see, it is almost done, and I'll have $500 here. I will also put this into my high yield savings account, and that will sit there until my 6-month renewal is ready to be paid. Now, the other important sinking fund that I have in here is my car maintenance. So I've got a little story to tell you guys. Let's count this and see. I've got $245 in here. Now, I just replaced a battery. And I actually forgot to show you this little section over here when I told you what I spent. Car battery is right here for $174. But I knew that that battery was most likely under warranty. It wasn't that long ago when we bought it. So I did make that phone call yesterday to the auto place that installed it, and they are actually going to refund that $174. So I was very happy to hear that. But in addition to that, when I was looking at the invoice, I noticed that they charged me $300 for labor to put a battery in. Now, this was, in my defense, part of a very large invoice. It was 2 pages long. We were in the middle of a move from California to Florida. We were a bit overwhelmed. So I didn't look at every single line item on that invoice, and I should have, because now they are actually getting back to me and letting me know what I really should have been charged. So there's even more of a refund coming back. And that is good news, right? Especially after spending all that money. So that is actually it, you guys. As far as my variable expenses go, I am good. And this is why I am always saying here on the channel to keep your budgeting and your categories as simple as you can. Do not have 30 different categories to keep track of. You will probably get overwhelmed and you might even quit. Now, some of you might be really good at it and you're thinking, no way, I'm perfectly fine with my 30 categories, and that's great. But I think that a majority of people just do better when things are simpler, especially when it comes to their finances. And then what if you get busy and you fall behind like I just did? That just makes less work for you to get caught back up. And having those obvious categories like what you just saw, groceries, Utrid, car insurance, car maintenance, household items, I mean, come on. We should all be setting limits and watching our spending on these things anyway. Now, I personally actually use what is called savings challenges as another way to save for things like medical, Christmas, self-care, home repairs and maintenance, donations, my annual payment on my cell phone to Mint Mobile, kids' visits. So with all of those, all of my savings challenges, I have just recently decided that I'm going to start posting those videos over on Ko-fi. I will explain all of that on Monday's video that will be posted over there. If you are like me and a mega fan of savings challenges and what they can do for your budget, meet me over there on Monday and I will fill you in on why I've decided to do it this way. I'm also going to leave the link for you to get to the Ko-fi page in the pinned comment. Seriously, if you are trying to find new ways to save or you get bored with saving money, savings challenges might be exactly what you're looking for. And I want to thank those of you who messaged me while I was on my little hiatus. Some of you I was able to get back to, some of you I haven't yet. None of you were forgotten or overlooked. I read every comment and every message. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope to see you on Monday for the fun side of saving money. In the meantime, if you are looking for ways to stay on your budget, check out this video for some quick ideas, and I will see you next time.